Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing something really fascinating, looking into the architecture of the mind, specifically through Raja Yoga.
Yeah, and the source material we're using is pretty rigorous. We're focusing on excerpts, particularly Raghavan Iyer's analysis of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras.
Right, the foundational text.
Exactly. And what's crucial for you to know, the listener, is how these sources approach it. It's not about, physical postures you see in a gym class.
Not downward dog, then.
Not primarily, no. This is presented as an advanced manual for mental discipline, spiritual discipline. Iyer was very careful about this. He stressed separating this ancient meditation system from, and I'm quoting him here, all of the forms of self-hypnosis that currently pass as meditation.
That's a strong statement right off the bat. It really sets the stage. So our mission here, our deep dive, is to understand how this, ancient system gives us a path to self-mastery, especially today with so much mental noise.
Constant static, yeah.
What makes Patanjali's blueprint so unique, so enduring?
I think it's the integrated nature of it. Iyer points out you need both meditation and self-study. They're not separate things. He calls them two sides of one activity.
Yeah.
Like the heartbeat. Systolic, diastolic.
Okay.
One movement expands consciousness outwards, that's centrifugal, buddhi. The other focuses consciousness inward, centripetal, manas.
Expansion and focus.
In balance.
You need both. Constant interplay.
It's fascinating, too, that the author, Patanjali, he's such an enigma.
Oh, absolutely.
The legends are pretty intense. Born in an exalted realm, reducing people to ashes with, fire from his mouth.
Yeah, well, it's one way to get your students' attention, I suppose. Maybe an aggressive form of practice, abhyasa.
Right.
But seriously, his dates are debated, maybe 4th century BCE, but the text itself is cherished. It's seen as the pristine expression of Raja Yoga. It really is a comprehensive manual. Covers mind control, visualization, breath, posture, yes, but also crucially, moral training, all geared towards inner transformation. Okay, so to really get this, we need the philosophical bedrock first. You mentioned it's tied to Sankhya philosophy.
We definitely do. You can't really separate them effectively. Many see Sankhya as the essential theory and yoga as the practice that brings it to life.
Got it. Theory and practice. So let's unpack Sankhya. What's the core idea?
At its heart, Sankhya is dualistic, radically dualistic. It divides all of reality into two fundamental, distinct principles,
The jar.
Purusha and Malaprakriti.
Okay, let's take Purusha first. What is that?
Purusha is pure consciousness, spirit, the self. Think of it as the ultimate witness. The term used is sakshitva. And crucially, Purusha doesn't do anything. No action, no process, no intention, not even content. It's just presence. Pure awareness, like a mirror.
Okay, pure passive awareness. And the other principle, Malaprakriti.
That's the opposite. It's the non-self matter, but not just physical matter. It's pure potentiality, the substrate of everything that changes. And it's always changing, ceaselessly transforming. It's characterized by these three fundamental forces or qualities called the gunas.
The gunas.
Right.
I've heard of these. Sattva, rajas, tamas.
Exactly. Sattva is like intelligence, clarity, balance. Think light or white. Rajas is energy, passion, movement, compulsion. Think drive or red. And tamas is inertia, darkness, ignorance, lethargy. Think heaviness or black.
And these gunas, they're in everything.
They are the constituents of Malaprakriti, yes.
Yep.
In the beginning, they were in perfect balance, inert.
Okay, here's where my mind gets a little blown. The sources say the whole world we experience.
Mm-hmm.
It happens because the presence of Purusha, that passive witness, somehow disturbed the balance of the gunas in Malaprakriti.
Yeah.
And that caused all the differentiation, all the stuff of the universe.
That's the Sankhya model, yes. The proximity, the mere presence of Purusha is enough to set Prakriti in motion, causing the gunas to interact and differentiate, creating the entire manifest world.
Wow. So the problem, cosmically speaking, is this entanglement.
Precisely. The entanglement of consciousness with the processes of matter and mind. And true knowledge, liberation, kaivalya, means seeing this clearly and disentangling them, returning to that primordial stillness.
Where self and non-self are seen for what they are, separate.
Completely separate.
So Patanjali, building on this Sankhya foundation, he just dives right into the practice, doesn't he? No messing around.
No, he's incredibly direct. The second sutra, right in the Samadhipada, the first chapter, gives the definition. Bam. Yoga is the restraint of the modifications of the mind. Yogash chitta-vritti nirodha.
So concise. Cheeky is the mind, or mind stuff.
Yes, the field of consciousness. And vrittis are the modifications, the fluctuations, the whirlpools or ripples on that field. Nirodha is restraint, cessation.
Restrain the ripples. What are these ripples, these vrittis?
Patanjali lists 5 main categories. There's correct cognition.
Like knowing something is true.
Yes. Then misconception, error, fantasy, imagination, sleep, the deep unconscious kind, and memory.
Okay. Misconception, fantasy, sleep, memory. Those seem like obvious mental activities we might want to quiet down. But correct cognition. Why restrain that? Isn't knowing things correctly good?
That's a really crucial and maybe counterintuitive point. Think of the mind like a lake again.
Okay.
Misconception and fantasy are like distorted ripples. They don't reflect reality accurately. But even correct cognition, imagine the lake is perfectly still, reflecting the sky perfectly.
That sounds pretty good.
It is from a certain perspective, but it's still a reflection. It's still a modification of the lake's surface. The water is still engaged in the activity of reflecting.
I see. So the goal isn't just to have an accurate picture in the mind?
It's to transcend the mind's activity altogether. Even accurate intellectual insight is still a vritti, a movement, a process. It binds the purusha, the true self, to the phenomenal world, to prakriti.
So even deep sleep doesn't cut it, because it's just another state, another modification, like a tamasic one.
Exactly. It's withdrawal, but it's passive, inert. It's not liberation. It's just the mind absorbed in darkness, essentially.
Okay, so if all these states, even correct thought and sleep, need to be restrained, how on earth do you achieve that? What's the method?
Patanjali gives 2 pillars for achieving this restraint, this nirodha.
2 pillars. What are they?
First, abhyasa. This means practice, but not just casual practice. It's assiduous, diligent, continuous, determined effort. It's the active opposite of passive, tamasic states like sleep.
Constant, focused effort. And the second pillar?
Vairagya. This is non-attachment, dispassion, detachment. It's the state of freedom from desires, cravings, aversions, basically. Freedom from all the things that pull the mind here and there.
Practice and detachment. Abhyasa and vairagya.
They work together. Practice builds the strength to still the mind, and detachment removes the fuel that creates the disturbances in the first place. It frees you from the hindrances, the kleshas.
The kleshas. The sources call the path arduous, saying we have to face self-induced delusions. These kleshas seem key. Patanjali diagnosed them, right? The obstacles.
He did. It's a brilliant psychological diagnosis. There are 5 major obstacles or afflictions, kleshas, and they're all interconnected, ultimately stemming from the root one.
Which is?
Avidya, fundamental ignorance.
Okay, let's break these down. Avidya. What is it, more specifically?
It's the primary confusion. Mistaking the impermanent for the permanent, seeing the impure as pure, taking what is ultimately painful and believing it's pleasurable, and confusing the non-self, the body, the mind, the ego with the true self, purusha.
That sounds pretty fundamental. It covers a lot of human error.
It's the bedrock of suffering, according to the system. From avidya arises the second klesha, asmita.
Asmita, egoism.
Yes, but specifically it's the false identification. It's confusing the power of the seer, the purusha, with the instrument of seeing, like the mind or the senses, mistaking the light source for the things it illuminates.
Like thinking, I am my thoughts, or I am my body.
Exactly, that kind of identification. Then come the next 2, which are like 2 sides of a coin, raga and devesha.
Attachment and aversion.
Right. Raga is the attachment, the craving, the pull towards things mistakenly thought to bring pleasure based on past pleasurable experiences linked to avidya.
And devesha is the push away.
Yes, the aversion, the repulsion from things mistakenly thought to bring pain, again based on past painful experiences rooted in that same fundamental ignorance.
So we're constantly being pulled and pushed by these forces rooted in illusion.
Constantly. And the final one is abhinavesha.
Clinging to existence. This one really resonates.
It's incredibly powerful. It's described as the tenacious wish for life, the will to live, the fear of death. And the sources emphasize it's deeply ingrained, even in wise or learned people.
That fear of non-being. Modern anxiety seems shot through with this.
Absolutely. You could map a lot of modern existential dread or even things like FOMO, fear of missing out, onto abhinavesha. It's the spirit clinging desperately to the process of experience itself.
Wow. So these 5 kleshas, ignorance, egoism, attachment, aversion, clinging to life, they are the engines driving the mind's restlessness and our suffering.
That's the diagnosis. They keep the vriddis spinning.
So the prescription must be about dismantling these.
Yeah.
How does Patanjali lay out the path to do that? The Ashtanga Yoga, the 8 limbs.
Yes, the famous 8 limbs of yoga. Ashta means 8, anga means limb. It's a progressive path, but the limbs are also meant to be practiced, in a sense, simultaneously. They reinforce each other.
Okay. What are the first ones? You mentioned moral training earlier.
The first 2 limbs establish the ethical foundation. They're absolutely crucial. You can't really progress to the deeper meditative states without this groundwork.
Makes sense. First limb?
The yamas. These are restraints, universal ethical vows. There are 5. Ahimsa, nonviolence. Satya, truthfulness. Asteya, non-stealing. Brahmacharya, continence or right use of energy. And aparigraha, non-possessiveness, non-grasping.
And these are called the Mahavrata, the Great Vow.
Yes, because they are considered universal duties, not conditional on your class, country, time, or circumstances. They apply to everyone, always.
Okay. That's the yamas. What's the second limb?
The niyamas. These are observances, more like personal disciplines. Also 5. Shaka, purity, internal and external. Santosha, contentment. Tapas, austerity, disciplined effort, sometimes translated as heat. Svadhyaya, self-study, study of sacred texts. And Ishvara Pranadhana, devotion or surrender to a higher principle or the Lord.
So these first 2 limbs, yama and niyama, are about cleaning up our act, ethically and personally.
Essentially, yes. They purify the mind and reduce the power of the kleshas, especially raga and devesha. They create a stable, ethical platform.
And there's a specific technique mentioned for dealing with negative thoughts that arise while practicing these.
Yes, a very important one, pratipaksha pavana, the practice of cultivating the opposite thought.
Cultivating the opposite, how does that work?
When a negative or harmful thought arises, say anger, greed, the urge to lie, the instruction is to consciously and deliberately bring its opposite to mind.
So if I feel hatred, I actively think of compassion.
Exactly. You don't just suppress the negative thought, you actively replace it. Cultivate its positive counterpart, compassion, generosity, truthfulness. You sustain that positive thought firmly.
And this leads to sublimation, transformation.
That's the idea. It's an act of mental alchemy. You're not just fighting darkness, you're turning on the light. This builds mental strength and rewires habitual negative patterns.
That's very practical. So after yama and niyama, what comes next? The more internal practices.
Right. The next 3 limbs are often grouped together as the internal or meditative stages. Asana, posture, steady and comfortable seat. Pranayama, breath control, regulation of life force.
Ah, so posture and breath are included.
Yes, but notice where they come. After the ethical foundation, they are tools to stabilize the body and mind, preparing for deeper concentration.
And then?
Then come the truly internal limbs. Dharana, concentration, fixing the mind on a single point. Dhyana, contemplation or meditation, an unbroken flow of awareness towards that point. And finally, samadhi, meditative absorption, where the mind becomes one with the object of meditation.
Concentration, contemplation, absorption. Dharana, dhyana, samadhi.
Those 3 together constitute samyama, the integrated process of meditative focus.
And mastering samyama leads towards the ultimate goal.
It leads towards the culmination, yes. The final goal, the subject of the 4th and final book of the sutras, is kaivalya.
Kaivalya. Isolation, freedom. Sounds very ultimate. What does it mean practically? What is achieved?
It's described as the state of absolute freedom, the final disentanglement of Purusha from Prakriti. The soul, the seer, realizes its own nature, independent of the mind and matter. It goes beyond even the sense of I am.
Beyond I am. How?
It's the result of what's called vivekakyati, unbroken discriminative discernment. The Purusha sees Prakriti perfectly clearly, without any error, without any identification. When this happens, the mind, chitta, effectively ceases its fluctuations because its purpose has been fulfilled. The gunas, having nothing left to reflect or show to the Purusha, return to their latent, unmanifest state.
Can we use that light and globe analogy again here?
Absolutely. Purusha is the pure light. The mind, chitta, influenced by the gunas and kleshas, is like a translucent globe around it, colored, maybe dirty, distorting the light.
Okay.
All the practices of yoga are essentially about cleaning and steadying that globe. Kaivalya is when the globe is completely removed. The light shines forth in its own pristine nature. That's the energy of pure consciousness finally revealed.
The light itself, unobscured.
Unobscured. And the final realization, as Sutra Time to One puts it, is that the very essence of the visible world, of Prakriti, is that it exists only for the sake of the seer, the self, Purusha. Experience culminates in liberation.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive, looking through Iyer's lens at Patanjali, it really shows this isn't just about feeling calm. It's a complete system, a map for, well, fundamental transformation.
It really is profound mental control, deep ethical grounding. It aims to shift your entire perception, moving way beyond the limits of our everyday reactive consciousness.
The focus is systemic self-mastery, not just, adding a 10-minute meditation app to your routine.
Exactly. It's about understanding the structure of your own mind and delusion, and then systematically working to dismantle that structure to reveal what lies beneath. It demands real self-examination.
Speaking of which, we talked about the kleshas, the immediate afflictions that cause suffering. But the sources mention something deeper, longer-term hindrances too. What's a final concept that you, the listener, should maybe mull over?
A really profound one is the concept of vasanas.
Vasanas, what are they?
They are described as latent tendencies, subconscious impressions, or potencies left behind by past actions and experiences, fueled by craving and unfulfilled desires. Think of them as deep-seated psychological conditionings or karmic residues.
So deeper than just habits.
Much deeper. The sources suggest these vasanas are stored in the subconscious mind, chitta, and carry traces of karma across vast stretches of time, even across lifetimes. They are like seeds.
Seeds waiting to sprout.
Exactly. They remain dormant, unconscious, until the conditions are right in this life or a future one for them to ripen and emerge into consciousness, influencing your thoughts, feelings, and actions. They aren't dissolved until they surface and are dealt with through wisdom.
That adds another layer entirely. We're not just dealing with this life's issues, potentially.
According to this framework, no. The path requires immense patience and vigilance. The yogi must wait, sometimes for a very long time, for these subtle, latent tinctures of self-limitation, these vasanas, to arise so they can finally be understood and eliminated through discriminative knowledge. Vivekakyati.
So the final thought for you, the listener, is perhaps this. How vigilant are you? How closely are you examining the roots of your reactions, your desires, your fears? Could some of them be not just from today or this year, but perhaps the seed of vasana planted long ago, maybe even in a past life, just waiting for the right conditions to sprout now?